Hello, my name's Melinda Jacobs. I'm an intuitive coach and clinical hypnotherapist, and I've been in practice for well over 12 years, just doing clinical hypnotherapy, and I've been intuitive my whole life. I have been deeply impacted by the recent events, and like so many people, I want to not remain silent and contribute what I can, recognizing my limitations, recognizing I do have privilege that I am now becoming more and more aware of. And I just want to say thank you to all of my sisters and brothers who are willing to support and educate those of us who are ignorant, for those of us who are blind. I will very much try to get through this without too many tears. But this is a very moving time, and it's a very healing time. And what I know is true is that there's a profound healing happening through all of humanity through the pandemic. There is a profound healing occurring through the United States, and not just in the United States, because I know what's happening here is impacting the world. That our country has been built on deep, deep inequities, and those are no longer able to support the foundation upon which we stand. And the foundation itself is in a healing crisis. So I wanted to share with you a brief lesson. I put this together in hopes of helping anyone who's feeling stuck in their own shame, their own embarrassment about themselves, about how they perceive the world, about, wherever you might be stuck. And it's really just my intention is to be that beneficial presence, to be that beneficial voice, to not insult or bring more harm to an already very painful situation. So, with that, I ask much grace. So here's the brief presentation, a brief lesson on frequency and forgiveness. So. I put this together because these concepts are what really help me hold my place and recognize where I can be of service. And so Einstein says that no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. And I think that's such an important thing to remember, is that the solution is never ever going to be at the same level of the problem. Einstein also says that when solving a problem, if given an hour, that he would spend 55 minutes contemplating and thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Because really, it's about stepping out of the problem and coming into alignment with that solution, where ideas and new inspirations live that can bring us out of the problem state. So the next piece of information, of inspiration, that I live by is Nikola Tesla, who created free energy, and sadly that was shut down because the powers that be. But he said, to understand the true nature of the universe, one must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that, to me, also says quite a bit. He also said, as part of this quote, I just didn't include it, that if we were to study, if science is to study the non-physical phenomenon, that we would learn more in 10 years than we have in our entire history of science. And so again, this really helps me look at, where's my energy, where's my frequency, and where's my vibration. And with all that's been going on with pandemic, with all that's been going on with the cruelty and the oppression and the inequities in our country, this is one of my checkpoints for where am I, how am I doing. And then the last piece I want to share with you is just a moment, let me get there, is this. David Hawkins' map of consciousness. And I really want to take a moment and help you understand this, because I think this is such a powerful tool that we can use as we're moving through these events. So I know that I myself have found myself just feeling such incredible shame for my ignorance, such incredible shame uh, for how I was raised, and for not knowing what I don't know, and perpetuating a system that I was not aware until recently, just how cruel it has been. And so this map, I love the idea that it's a map of consciousness, because maps are to help us, go from point A to point B. And here's a map that can help us move from a point A problem to point B potentially solution, and find our way through ourselves, and recognize how to begin to shift ourselves out of places that we might be stuck. Um, so if you'll notice on the map, it starts at 20 and goes up to 1,000. And the idea is, from this map, is that anything below 200 cannot sustain life. And to me, that is such a powerful, powerful thing to understand and recognize, is that life is unsustainable. We cannot sustain life and vitality if we are maintaining ourselves, our thoughts, our actions in these lower frequencies. And so when I look at this map and I recognize, where have I been on this map? Well, certainly I've been in fear. Certainly I've been in grief, definitely apathy, guilt, shame, all of it. And then when we look at the life view, I recognize just recently that I view life as disappointing. And I just did a big internal piece of work on that. And all of those energies, frequencies, and vibrations are well below a sustainable life of that 200 number. And so for me, when I recognize, okay, I'm feeling fear, I'm looking at the world, oh, this is so tragic, I acknowledge my feelings. But then I look at this chart, I'm like, how can I raise myself into a place where I'm more of a beneficial presence? And easily I can get to willingness, easily. And that's a 310, far above double digits. Like that's like triple. I can be willing to be educated. I can be willing to be courageous. I could be willing to share my voice. I could be willing to understand someone's experience. I can find willingness so much. And maybe I'm not ready for acceptance. Maybe I'm not ready to go to reason or love or peace. But this is a map, and I think that we need to be very, very patient with ourselves as we're moving through this. So I want to walk you through a practice of forgiveness. And if you'll join me and find yourself in just a place of connecting with yourself. And for me, forgiveness starts with me. I have to forgive myself first, and then I can begin to forgive others. So the first place I forgive myself is, I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. I recognize I was brought up by racists. My dad was very, very racist. And within me, part of me knew that wasn't okay. I didn't like the vibration. I didn't like how it felt. And so some of it got rejected. But then there's what I don't know. So I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. And then I forgive myself for giving away my power. All those times where I followed someone blindly, or I just took on a concept, an idea, a belief, without any research, without any understanding of what it meant or what the history of that was. Uh, One of the terms that I've given up using a long time ago is the whipping boy, and because I do so much work with trauma and abuse and neglect, that term was given because when they used to mark the line of territory, they would bring a child to the edge of the agreed upon border of a property, and they would whip him within inches of his life. The idea is that the whipping boy will never never, ever forget where he received that beating. That's tragic. That's not an energy I want to align with. And so when we begin to learn and understand what we've taken on, and understand the behavior and the things that went into it behind it, we can start to reclaim our power. So I do forgive myself for giving my power away. And then I forgive myself for past behaviors. I really think of one of the master teacher's teachings when he himself was being crucified, where he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And for my own past behaviors, I didn't know. And that's not an excuse, because once I know, now I have a responsibility. But forgiving myself for those past behaviors is such an important piece for moving forward. And I forgive myself for the survival patterns and traits that I picked up while enduring abuse, trauma, neglect, and that I picked up through ignorance. Racism and hatred is something that's taught. We are not inherently born to be racist. We are not inherently born to see differences. That is something that's taught, and it's taught through ignorance, and it's taught through hatred. And what I love about this statement the most is that I picked up, because if I picked it up, it means I can put it down. So I forgive myself for the survival patterns and traits that I picked up while enduring abuse, trauma, neglect, and through ignorance. And the last one is I forgive myself for who I need to be. And for a while, I needed to be the person that wasn't speaking out. For a while, I needed to be the person that gathered myself and took care of myself and sorted through everything that was occurring. And now that I've done that, now I'm ready to step forward. And now I need to be the person that is speaking out. And I know both of those versions of me are going to receive some resistance, some criticism. Either way I go. And either way, I forgive myself for who I need to be. So if you need support, if you need help through this time, no matter how it's impacting you personally, if you are looking to find your way out of those painful places of grief, of sadness, of overwhelm, of fear, of panic, of anxiety, of wherever it is you're stuck in blame or shame, I am here to support you. So I'm here to empower people and empower transformation personally and globally. And I truly believe that as each individual changes and transforms, that we impact the collective and the whole. Again, thank you so much for allowing me this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if this touched you in any way, if this is impacting you in a way that brings clarity or allows you to shift, please, please share it. Please, please reach out. I am asking with the utmost humility, please be kind in your comments. Can we please support each other into our knowing, into our understanding? I don't believe shaming people for their ignorance is useful. And certainly, I am open to be educated. I am open to be aware of myself, my actions, and be that beneficial presence, and invite you to share that vision with me as well. Many, many blessings to you in this very, very uncomfortable time. I know something powerful is occurring, and I know we all have our own inner work to do to bring forward the life, the world that we know is possible. One that's built on honor, respect, dignity, and equality, love, and understanding. Thank you so much for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.